Hi everyone, I'm Joanna Penn from thecreativepenn.com and today I'm here with Laura Backus. Hi Laura.
Hi, Joanna. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks so much for coming on the show. Just a little introduction for everybody. Laura is a children's writing teacher and has been published by Writer's Digest, The Writer, Random House, as well as independently publishing. She has been producing the Children's Book Insider, the newsletter for children's writers, for 25 years alongside her husband, John. And today we're talking specifically about Kindle Kids Book Creator, which is pretty exciting. So, Laura, just start by telling us a bit more about you and your writing and publishing background.
Thank you for the nice introduction. I have been working in publishing for nearly 30 years right now. I started working at publishing houses in New York and knew that I wanted to eventually be a literary agent. That was my first, sort of dream in the publishing field. And so I worked at some publishers and then I got a job at a small literary agency. And while I was reading the manuscripts that were coming in and writing the rejection letters, I was writing like 2 or 3 page rejection letters because I was telling people what was wrong with their manuscript and why it was being rejected and how they could make it better. Because I didn't want to just tell them no, I wanted to tell them why. And I said to my husband at one point, I wish there was a source of information that I could just refer people to learn this stuff. And he said, well, why don't you start one? And being a type A personality, when someone tells me that, I have to do it. So I started the newsletter Children's Book Insider 25 years ago. And it has grown since then. And a few years after I started the newsletter, my husband had his own business, a public relations company, and he sold that and started working with me. And that's when our business really grew. And we started publishing books on writing, developed our website. Now we do webinars, we have online courses, we have all sorts of information for people on how to write and illustrate, self-publish, and market their children's books. And that is really, I found my greatest love is working with writers and really helping them develop their craft and get published.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, so you guys have loads of resources, which is brilliant. And I must say, I don't write for children. I am child free and happily, and it's not my market, but I have a lot of people in my audience who email me asking about this. So it's a really important topic. So I wondered, I mean, right now as we speak, Digital Book World just today had a day on children's writing, and I see, for example, that ebook reading for kids is coming up. But I wondered if you could start by kind of talking about the current state of specifically digital for kids books, because, is it still print dominated? What do you see coming? What is the current state?
hmm Well, this is actually a really interesting question because just a few days ago, a site called klytics.com, which is a site devoted to tracking ebook trends, released its November 2014 report. And they tracked the top 28 categories of books being sold on Amazon and found that children's ebooks rose more than any other category during that month and are now in the top 7 best-selling categories. And that includes all books, adult books, everything. And the average children's ebook sold 78 copies a day on Amazon in November. And the number of titles available of children's ebooks grew by 11% that month, which is extraordinary because usually categories grow by maybe 1 or 2% a month. So it was just booming. And then they also tracked, okay, so we've got this huge influx of supply. Are people buying them? And what they found out is that the average sales ranking of children's ebooks improved 46% during the month of November. And also they had the biggest price increase per book. So not only are the books out there, but people are buying them and they're buying them at higher prices, which is really extraordinary. And what this can all be traced back to is in September, Amazon released a program called KDP, Kids Book Creator. And it's to allow people to create illustrated children's books for the Kindle and upload them directly to Amazon to sell. And this really changed everything. and made it very easy for people to self-publish picture books, ebooks, and get them on Amazon. And it looks like the market is really out there. And what we're seeing also is that print books are not going away in children's books. But what's happening is people are often buying both the print and ebook version of the same book because their child loves the book and they want to have a very portable version of it for when they travel. And so they'll get the ebook version, or because ebooks are so easy to download just about anywhere. If you're a parent with a 3-year-old and you're standing in line at the post office and they're getting cranky, you can easily download an ebook onto your iPad or your Kindle and have a new book for them right there. And so it's more of an impulse buy, and because they're priced lower than print picture books, parents are able to buy 2 or 3 ebooks for the same price as one print book. So they're really complementing the print books. They're not replacing them.
Okay.
And also I think because this generation of parents is younger and grew up with more technology, certainly than I did, they're comfortable doing this with their child. It's not something foreign to them. They read on their Kindle or their iPad all the time, and they have no problem also having their child share a book with them on the same device.
Yeah, which seems really interesting. And I wonder about the schools as well, because I've heard that schools in America are moving to tablets, and I've heard that some are iPad specific. So, what is the state of devices for kids? Is it iBooks, iPad, or is Kindle Fire now kind of taking a slice?
It kind of depends on the school district. Amazon is donating a lot of Kindles to the poorer school districts, and they're also worldwide. There are a lot of organizations like World Reader is one of them, where they go into developing countries, donate Kindles to schools there, and then load them up with free ebooks for the kids. But a lot of districts are also using the iPad, and so what's interesting is that you can have a Kindle app on an iPad and still read the Kindle books. So I feel that the Amazon delivery system is still the most worldwide, the most accessible ones for schools everywhere. But a lot of schools are using iPads, and they are, it's just becoming a norm in the classroom now. I think because it is less expensive to access books that way for the students, and a lot of the books have interactive elements, which is really nice too. So yes, we are seeing that.
Yeah, it was interesting. I gave my 9-year-old nephew some money for Christmas. I gave him 25 New Zealand dollars, which is not that much, but books are really expensive in New Zealand. And he said, Auntie Jo, I really like having a print book, but I'm going to use this money to buy ebooks because I can get 4 of them for the same price as a print book. So he still wanted a print book, but he was willing to sacrifice that for ebooks because he could get more. So I really see that as that's a real trend. So let's talk about, coming back to that Kindle versus iPad. So, and I think I've got the name wrong again. So is it KDP Kindle Book Creator?
It's called KDP Kids Book Creator.
Okay, KDP Kids Book Creator. Yeah. Okay, so how does that compare to iBooks Author, which is a different kind of multimedia thing, or just give us tell us about the KDP Kids Book Creator?
Okay, well, KDP Kids Book Creator, and by the way, for your listeners who don't know, KDP stands for Kindle Direct Publishing. So it's the KDP Kids Book Creator is a free standalone piece of software that you can download from Amazon, and it could be used on either the Mac or the PC to create illustrated books in either the landscape format, which mimics print picture books, or the portrait format, which is more, the up and down format for novels and more text-heavy books. And it's very easy to use. You can either import the entire book as a PDF file with your text and illustrations already laid out, or you can create it page by page and place your illustrations where you want them, and then place the text where you want it. And if you do it page by page, then you can go in and edit the text very easily. And the program also allows for text pop-ups. And what these are, if the user clicks on the text on the device, it actually enlarges in a pop-up window. And so for children's books, if the child is reading the book on their own, it makes it very easy to see the text, which is a nice feature. And then in the program, you can preview how the book is going to look on different devices. So you can see how it's going to look on the Kindle Fire, on a smartphone, even on a PC with a Kindle app. And so it shows you on those different sizes, so you can tweak the layout to make sure it looks the best on each type of screen that you're looking at it. And then you can upload it directly to Amazon and sell it. So like I said, it's a very easy to use program. The iBooks Author is also a great program. The one drawback is, at least to me, is that the books created on this program can only be viewed on an iPad, an iPhone, or on a Mac. So it limits a little bit where, who can buy your product. Now, the nice thing about iBooks Author is that they currently have the ability to put video and audio within the ebooks. And right now, the KDP Kids Book Creator does not. We are personally in contact with the tech department at Amazon, giving them a lot of feedback on this program. And the biggest feedback I've given them is people want to be able to add sound to these books. And so they're working on that, and I really hope that they create that update soon, because I think that would be a very valuable addition to a children's book, to be able to have that.
And I'm sure they will, because presumably they are competing with iBooks Author.
Yes.
That's their point. They want the school market. So, I mean, the other thing is authors who own their own rights and are self-publishing this way can use both, can't they? You can use,
of course.
Yeah. So we're not saying this is an either or. This is just, and you do need a Mac to do iBooks Author.
Yes, you do. And it creates a different type of file. So the file you create in the Kindle program is a Mobi file, and that is uploaded to Amazon. On the iBooks, it's an EPUB, so you would have to create your book twice.
Yeah, you would create it twice, but we all do that anyway.
Sure.
When we publish. So within the KDP Kids Book Creator, do you have to download the Mobi and then re-upload it into the normal KDP publishing, or does it automatically publish at the end?
It creates a Mobi file, and then you go onto Amazon to upload it, and it's very easy. It's like one click. You just upload the file onto Amazon, and then you can create your keywords and your author page and all of that right there. So it's really very simple.
Okay, and authors who are already publishing, they just use their normal sign-in account. It's all integrated. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Absolutely. So that makes sense.
The other nice thing, is if you have other books published on Amazon in other formats, it will link all your books together for you, so people can see everything that you've done when they go to one place, which is nice.
Yeah, fantastic. And yeah, I've got quite a lot of questions. So what I did is I did ask some of my friends who are kids book authors for some questions for you that would be more intelligent than my own. One question from Alexandra Amor, who writes novels for middle grade readers, so 9 to 12, said, it seems to me that the tools are aimed at kids' picture books, age 3 to 5, with large pictures, very little text. Is this software just for picture books, or can it be used for all kinds of things?
Well, it could be used for all kinds of things, but if you are writing a middle grade novel that is mostly text and maybe has a few black and white illustrations scattered throughout, I would suggest using the regular KDP publishing software, because it's designed for that. The only reason to use this with a text-heavy book is if you wanted it for some reason to be in the landscape format. Then you would use this program. But really for novels, I think the regular Kindle is probably easier to use and built for that.
Because I mean, for me, I'm thinking, well, what if I know some fantasy authors, for example, who have loads of maps and like want to do books that are primarily illustration with some explanation. Would
Yes.
that be suitable?
Absolutely, absolutely. And the really exciting thing I think about the ebook market opening up like this is that there are no rules. So if you want to create a middle grade book that is basically very, very illustration heavy, but targeted to the middle grade readers, you can do that with this program. And you don't have the constraints that a publisher might put on you saying, well, we don't know how to sell that because it doesn't fit into a specific category that we already have. So you can be very, very creative. Yes, and there are no page limits on this program. You can make your book as long as you need to. So it works well for that.
But I guess I'm really saying, does it just have to be used for kids' books? Can I do
I don't
like a
think so.
history book or something?
Sure. I think you could use it for anything. Absolutely. Yeah,
With
absolutely.
because that pop out text, and like you say, if they add sound to it, because of course iBooks Author, a lot of people are using it for textbooks and anything with integration, and I've got that on my list somewhere. But it seems to me like this software could be used for the same thing, like instead of having to code the Mobi to do these
Yes.
things otherwise.
Yes, I agree. I agree. I think there's a lot of potential with this software. And what's exciting is I have a lot of clients of mine who are using it. So when they come up with cool things that they've discovered they can do with it, they let me know and then I can tell everybody about it. So I think, it's only been around a couple of months. I think as more people use it, we're going to see it used in very creative ways, like you suggested.
Yeah, because they've got a Kindle Comic Creator, and I
Yes.
bet you that's just the same software with a different name.
It's very similar, yes. It creates panels on the screen like a comic book, and then you can have one panel at a time show up, or have it go through panel by panel. So it has a slightly different features, but it's very similar. Yeah, a lot of similarity between the two.
Oh no, it's really interesting. So from a reader perspective, the difference is that it is landscape and pop-up. Is that the main features for a reader?
Yeah, those would be the two main features you can do. And within the landscape format, you can either have one page per screen or two facing pages per screen. Like if the picture book was sitting open on your lap, it could look like that. And you have these pop-up abilities. And I've created some workarounds on some of the design limitations that are kind of cool. I've discovered some fun things you can do with pop-ups that kind of give kids hidden things to look for in the book, which makes it a little bit interactive, which is really neat. From an author perspective, some of the things to think about is when you're designing for this smaller screen, you often have to write the story a little bit differently. If people are used to writing picture books for print, you have a large canvas where a lot of things can be happening in the illustrations on each page. And you have to keep in mind that this is a smaller canvas with the smaller screen, and so you might want to break down your scenes into smaller parts so that the action unfolds a little differently so that you can get all the details into the illustrations that you want to have in the illustrations. And because it's a smaller screen, you have a little less room for the text because your text is going to be a larger type size than it would in a novel. And so those are a few little things to think about as you're writing and designing the books from an author and illustrator perspective. And it just takes a little playing around to get the right look and the right flow as you design it.
Yeah, okay, no, that's fine. And then I had a question from Karen Inglis, who is a children's author who does picture books all the way up to middle grade, and I think one more than that. And she tried it out, so I asked her to have a look, and she said she uploaded a PDF. She's really impressed with the on-screen help text, the user guide. But she does have a question. Do the pop-up text allow you can you insert new pop-up text, which you've kind of mentioned, and do these work on the normal e-ink Kindles or only the Kindle Fire?
I believe they work on all of the Kindle devices. And yes, you can insert, if you upload it as a PDF, the text that you have uploaded, you can place a pop-up over that text if you want to create it as a pop-up. You cannot edit the content of the text that you imported as a PDF. But you can create a new text box on any page and add new text.
Oh, okay.
And then in the page by page design format, if you're just laying it down page by page, you have a lot more freedom to edit and that sort of thing. But yes, you can always put a pop-up on top of something that you've got already on the screen.
Yeah, see, I really like the idea. I'm just thinking with my business book, which is not a kid's book, but, you want to have these things where people
Sure.
can click stuff and then get like more information or,
Yes.
like they have now, you can get the dictionary pop up. You want to have something more meaningful. So,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And what I've discovered in playing around with it is that the pop-up, if you lay down text, there's an automatic pop-up feature where the text that you actually laid down pops up word for word, but you can change the text within the pop-up. So again, it's kind of a fun thing for kids if you want them to click on your text and see something different pop up on the screen. Like if you have a joke book, you could have the knock knock, who's there, and then they click on it, and then the next line of the joke pops up. So there is some fun stuff you can do with it.
no, that's really cool. Karen also asks, what would you say are the limitations of the software? So of course you've mentioned the lack of audio at the moment, although
Yes.
I would put money on that coming.
I would put
soon.
money on that coming too. That's the number one comment I've gotten, and I've forwarded it to Amazon because I think that's huge. The other limitation, some people would like to be able to place hyperlinks in their books and have the readers be able to click through. I can see why they can't do that because it's for children and they might not want children being able to click through to the internet. So I kind of doubt that will appear. Down the road, it would be great if they could embed video. That's a much more complex program. So I could see maybe down the road getting something like that. But I'm thinking audio will be the next big change for sure.
Fantastic. So one of the biggest issues that children's book publishers or indie authors have is the cost of doing it, and of course this will remove the print cost if people don't do the print, but how are the costs different for this method?
Right. Well, of course, the print cost is a big one, and to print a full-color children's picture book is very expensive. So that's huge. The distribution cost is cut. You don't have to ship your books anywhere. You don't have to pay a distributor to carry your books in bookstores. Depending on which royalty structure you choose with Amazon, and there are a couple different structures you can choose. If you choose the highest royalty structure, which is a 70% royalty per book sold, there is a delivery cost that Amazon tax onto the book of, and this is in US dollars, 15 cents per megabyte file size. So with a picture book, your files can get pretty big, but there are ways to compress the illustrations. And you can download what's called a JPEG optimizer software. And there's a lot of free ones out there. And basically they compress your JPEG files so you don't lose any of the quality, but they're smaller. And that will make your books smaller, and that delivery fee will be cut down. So that's something to definitely use. The other costs with self-publishing, there are two costs that I definitely recommend. First of all, you should get your book edited professionally. Hire an editor. And, this is very important. Even if it's a very short book, hire someone who's well-versed in children's books to look it over and make sure the manuscript is in good shape. And beyond that, if you have the money, you want to get the best illustrations you can afford, because illustrations are so important in these books. And you can run the gamut from spending several $1,000s on a very top-notch illustrator to hiring maybe a beginning illustrator who's good, but they want to get, some publishing credits, and so they'll charge you less. And then there are also online services who will do illustrations for a lower fee. And so there's a lot of ways you can go about it. If you're writing nonfiction and you want to illustrate the books with photographs, there are a lot of stock photo places where you could get photos very inexpensively to use in your books. So you can really cover any budget with the illustrations. And then finally, if you have the money, I would suggest hiring a designer for your cover. Because if you don't personally have design experience, or take a class yourself on cover design, because your cover is your first, your first sales tool. That's the first thing people are going to see, and your cover and your title in a picture book are very important. So spend a little money to get that really, really designed well. And yeah, but really. If you're creative and you're smart, there are ways that you can publish a really great children's picture book for very little money online, and that's a huge advantage over the print market. And then a lot of people, they get their name out there, they create an audience with their ebook, and then they go ahead and do the print book. But they've already got a customer base who they can then contact and say, my print book's out now, and they'll start generating sales right away.
Yeah, and I think this is a game changer. That's why I was, excited to hear about you and the training course you have, because this has been the problem. Like up until recently, when I do a lot of speaking, and someone will put their hand up and say, "Hey, I'm writing an illustrated children's book," and I've been like, "I'm really sorry, you have the most expensive job,
Yes.
and it's very hard to make any money with children's picture books." But what you're saying is, obviously the cover we all have to do, the editing we all have to do. Hopefully the editing's cheaper because it's so few words than a full-length novel, but you have the cost of illustration within the book, which is more expensive. But this should put it at a par with publishing a novel, for example.
Absolutely. And the other nice thing about ebooks is that they don't have to be 32 pages long. Print picture books are, for the most part, 32 pages long. That's a lot of illustrations. But say you've written a very simple story for, 2 and 3-year-old children, and it only needs to be 15 pages. You can do a 15-page book. So you have a lot of freedom. The other really great thing about this is the marketing field has been leveled. You don't have to have a huge marketing budget. You have the same opportunity to sell your book on Amazon as any other author. And it all depends on, how much effort you're going to put into the marketing, but you don't need a big budget behind you or a big publisher behind you in order to do it. So it really is a game changer in that way as well.
It's very exciting. But, talking about marketing, because again, children's authors struggle here because they think, oh, I must market to this 4-year-old, which of course is very difficult. So what are some of your tips around marketing for these authors?
Right. Well, again, if you're writing a picture book, you're really going to be marketing to the parents, the grandparents, possibly some teachers. So you're trying to reach the adults with a product that's meant for the children. So first of all, you have to have an online platform of some sort, and that's true with any author these days. Your website, your blog are very important. I would suggest that these are extensions of your book. So if your book is funny, you want your website to be fun. You want it to have humor, a humorous tone to it. You want to have activities on there that parents can download for their kids to do that complement your story. If your book is informational, you're going to have additional information on your site that maybe, say you've written a book about bullying, kids getting bullied. You want to have also information for the parents and teachers on how to talk to their kids about this topic, other books they can read, that sort of thing. If you have a blog, you can certainly speak to the parents in your blog with your own parenting stories, funny things that have happened to you. So basically you're letting your consumers get to know you and like you as a personality, and your book is just an extension of that. Another really great thing a lot of picture book authors are doing is creating a Pinterest page with images from their book, other things related to their book, and make sure your book's title and a link to your sales page is on everything that's on Pinterest. And that's going to get passed around and linked to. Doing a book blog tour is very, very useful. And there are companies, if you just Google, book blog tours, there are companies that will set those up for you. And they will target parenting blogs and book review blogs, and you'll do, online interviews with these people, and make sure you can build in some sort of giveaway on these blog tours. So either a free copy of your ebook, or a poster with images from your book, or something fun that the blogger can give away to someone who visits their site. And then there are two really important issues when you're marketing on Amazon. First is your author page. Your author page is crucial that you set that up, and after you have one book out, you need to start working on your second book right away, because what we found is people will buy an author's book, go to their author page to see what else they've written, and then if you've got a second book there, they'll often click through and buy it right away. So your first book fuels your second book, which fuels your third book, which is really important. And the other is your keywords that you use when you're describing your book. We have a good friend who's written several ebooks and published them for Kindle, and she says Amazon is a search engine for people with their wallets open. And I think that's a great way to look at it. When a parent goes to Amazon and looks for books, they're not looking to browse, they're looking to buy. If you are just casually browsing, you're probably going to go to a bookstore and spend the day and figure out what you want to buy. When you go to Amazon, it's like, I need a book. I want to find the book that I'm going to buy. And so your keywords are very important, and you want to have those keywords not just reflect the content of your book, dogs, robots, whatever the story's about, but also the themes, if it's about friendship, or if it's about sibling rivalry, or if it's about starting school. Those are the kinds of keywords you also want to put into your search, the description of your book, so that parents looking for books on those general topics will find yours as well. So those are some things to keep in mind.
And most of those are relevant whatever book you have
they really are
on Amazon. They're not specific. So that's interesting. And are we? Because obviously right now in the novel space, people are kind of moaning about the end of the gold rush. Are kids' books not really taken off yet? As in, right now is a good time to be putting kids' books on Kindle because there's not very many.
I think so. I think it's sort of a new frontier for the children's book arena, especially the younger children's books. Young adult and middle grade novels have been in ebook format for quite a while, but the picture books are just really getting started. And so it is a terrific opportunity right now. And picture books, also the nice thing about picture books is they tend to be timeless. So you write your book now, 5 years from now, it's still going to be just as relevant to the next 5-year-old who reads it. So they have a longevity about them that a lot of other books don't.
Yeah, no, this is awesome. So listeners, you've heard it here first. We're we're predicting a boom in kids' books. So get on with it, basically. But you have a great course, which is Kindle Kids Mastery, which helps authors sort all this stuff out. So tell us a bit about the course and how people can find it.
Sure. Well, we've actually recently renamed the course to Picture eBook Mastery, but it's the same course. This is designed for people who want to use this KDP Kids Book Creator software, and especially if you're non-technical, as I am. And so the course walks you through everything step by step. First, we give you some really good advice on things you need to think about with your book before you even start laying it out in Kindle, as far as the content and the age group and how you tell the story. Then we walk you through how to find an illustrator. And we have several different options, from finding, the really top-notch professional illustrators all the way down to even using public domain art in your book. So depending on your budget, there's lots of options there for you. And then the real meat of the course is I walk through the program step by step with videos. So you can see my screen and you can see everything I'm doing. And I go very slowly because for people like me who are not technical, we need to be walked through very slowly. And I show you how to lay out the book in either the PDF or the page-by-page option. I also show you some cool things I've discovered, like I talked about how to use those pop-ups in really creative ways. How, if you want some of your illustrations to be one full landscape page across the screen, and then you want other ones to be two facing pages, how you can mix those together in one book. I created a workaround for that. And then we have a bunch of marketing information, which is really valuable. We talk about designing a good cover, creating the keywords, creating your author page. We have interviews with 4 people who are expert marketers on Amazon, and they give their tips on how to market. We have an ebook thrown in there. We have lots of stuff. So it's really a full course, and the really great thing is it exists only online, this course. So once you have access to it, not only do you have lifetime access, but I update it as Amazon creates new elements of the software, or as I find out how to do new things, I'll create an update to the course. So you will always have the most current information as to how to use this software. So it's very exciting, and we've heard from a lot of people who have used it, and now their books are up there and they're selling them, and they've been very happy with it. So it's
going
like you
well.
said, it's booming.
It's going well. So where can people find that? And there's a promo code as well we've got today, haven't we?
Yes. So you can either go to pictureebookmastery.com, and we have created a promo code for your listeners for $20 off. And it's the word pen, PENN, all lowercase. And there'll be a little box you can type that in and get $20 off. You can also go to our site, which is writeforkids.org, and you'll see links there to our Picture Ebook Mastery course. And another thing that I forgot to mention with the marketing section, we have an interview up on that course with 2 marketing experts on how to get reviews on Amazon, which is another really important part of your marketing process. And I just put that interview up yesterday on writeforkids.org, and they give you some really great information on how to generate reviews, legitimate reviews, not just all your friends getting on there, because Amazon kind of can figure that out. And that'll help your book move up in the sales rankings. So be sure to check that out as well.
That's fantastic. And you've also got the Children's Book Insider newsletter that I thought maybe you could also mention what other resources you have, because you do a lot, don't you?
We do a lot. Our monthly newsletter is called Children's Book Insider, and that was my original product that I created way back. And there is a link to that also on that writeforkids.org page. And it's a monthly newsletter where we list markets that are accepting submissions from children's writers, as well as articles on writing and selling your books. And with that newsletter subscription, you get access to our membership site, which is called the Children's Writers Knowledge Base, and that has 25 years worth of information on it, on how to write for kids. And we have podcasts and videos and articles and all sorts of stuff on there. It's a huge database of information. So all of that is included with your subscription to the Children's Book Insider newsletter.
Wow. And presumably people should work backwards.
Yeah.
Things have changed in 25 years.
They've changed a little bit, but what's interesting is the writing part really
Yeah,
hasn't changed that
that
much.
hasn't changed in thousands of
That's
years.
yeah, that's still the same. It's the selling has changed, and so we're always adding new content onto the knowledge base as far as self-publishing and
Mm,
marketing and that sort of thing.
mm.
Yes.
No, that's really cool. So apart from I mean, if it follows the process of or the pattern of the way other things have worked, we're going to see more people putting their kids' books on Kindle.
Yes.
We're going to see more kids reading in digital. Do you see what else do you see in terms of the next, year, couple of years in this space for kids' books in particular? Have you got any sort of other sort of predictions?
I think that what we're going to start seeing a lot of is one book in many formats. So we're going to have the print book, the ebook, and an app, all related to the same story, but each one has a slightly different focus to it. So the app might have really cool activities that the kids can do that relate to the story, or they'll be able to manipulate the ending of the book
Mm,
in different ways. Um, I see a lot more illustrated books for older readers. And as
yeah.
you said, this kids book creator software could be used in a lot of ways like that. Even young adult books, we're starting to see a lot more illustrated books that are geared toward that young adult format. The other really cool thing, and again, this is with older kids, you see ebooks that have links to songs within the book that maybe the character is listening to in the story. You have links to a blog site that is created by the character of the book and where they're blogging about stuff that's going on in the story.
Mm,
Um, we had my husband thought of this great marketing technique, and again, this would work for older readers. If you had a protagonist and an antagonist in your story and you gave them each a Twitter account, and then you had them communicating back and forth via Twitter about things going on in the book. And all your readers can see it and they can participate in the conversation, they can retweet it, they can add their 2 cents. So I think it's wide open for kids to really participate in the books in different ways, which is very exciting. And it makes the book a whole experience. Of course, the reading of it is awesome, but you can also immerse yourself in the world in a lot of different ways.
mm.
And so I think it allows for people to just be as creative as they can be, which
Yeah,
is
and
really
I mean,
exciting.
it strikes me too on translation. So I've been doing, Germany, for example. I've done Italian, Spanish, Portuguese coming. It's difficult to do a novel in translation because it's so long. Kids' books, obviously, the images can stay the same, and
Yes,
to get the text translated will be a lot cheaper.
it
So
will.
presumably, people are going to start doing translations as well.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And what's interesting on Amazon, I had a client who she lives in the UK, and she did a children's picture book, and she published two versions, a UK and a US version, because she wanted the spellings to be,
Mm,
correct for each country. And I think that's something to think about, especially for the young kids if they're starting to read on their own. You want the words to be spelled as they
they
see
learn
them
them.
spelled.
Mm,
So, but it's very easy to do that with when you're self-publishing on Kindle. It's
yeah.
just very easy to upload two different versions of your book.
No, that's great. I'm excited about this. I think it's going to be it's fascinating. It really does. I'm so pleased because I've had such. I always feel so bad. I have felt so bad for this group of authors who just, it's so expensive to print,
Yes.
the 32 page or full color blooming kids book. So this is great. So just tell people, was there anything else you wanted to share? Anything we missed? Any
Uh,
extras?
I think just one final word,
Mm,
which I always feel compelled to say, is people always ask me, well, doesn't this mean a lot of really bad books are going to get published
mm,
because it's so easy to put stuff out there? And my answer is yes, it does mean a lot of bad books are going to get published, but every time we democratize the publishing process one more step, that's just an outcome of it. But it doesn't mean your book should be bad. It means that you need to work as hard as ever on making it a good quality product. And if you do, it will get talked about, people will buy it, and it will rise to the top. Word of mouth is the number one sales vehicle for online books, with reviews, with people recommending them to their friends. And so if your book is good, it will get recommended. So basically, don't worry about what everyone else is doing. Only worry about what you're doing and make sure it is absolutely the best you can make it. And do whatever you have to do to make it as good as possible, and then you'll be fine.
And again, wise words for any author, regardless of what level you're publishing at. Okay, so just once more, give us your website so people can find you.
Okay. It's write4kids.org, and that the number 4 is spelled out. So it's WRITEFORKIDS.org.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for your time, Laura. That was great.
Thank you very much for having me.